invite them one by one. I may invite Chitra on stage, please, and I will read a little bit about your profile, if I may. Thank you. Chitra is the founder and CEO of Easy Vidya, a kindergarten to 12 education, innovation, and research organization. Started in 2001 with a handful of like-minded people. It is today an organization with about 150 people, passionate, vibrant, and smiling. I think you can see the smile starting from here, right? Easy Vidya today works with over 700 schools across India and most recently overseas also, impacting thousands of teachers and lakhs of children. Organizations like Wipro, Nokia, IBM, Dell, Intel, and to name a few with Easy Vidya in their social educational initiatives. Chrysalis is the flagship product of Easy Vidya, focuses on transforming classrooms to think rooms in hundreds of schools. These, along with awards like the Game Changer of the Year 2012, award by India Mart in Economic Times, now has made Easy Vidya a premier choice for educational research, product and services. And personally, Chitra has done a master's in English and an MBA. She left a comfortable family-run business, much to the disapproval of, I'm sure, her family. She was determined to heed her calling, and today it seems to have paid off. Whether it's leaders, teachers and parents associated with schools or employees of Easy Vidya, all of them share that vibrant outlook to life along with her and about education. Easy Vidya is empaneled by the CBSE to conduct its effective school management and leadership program for school leaders of CBSE affiliated schools. It is an empaneled consultant of Kerala State Planning Board on all matters relating to school education. Thank you for coming here. May I have Rajesh up here. Rajesh is a retail consultant, and he has been a leading personality in the area of retail. So anyone that's dealing with the retail area, you need to meet up with him after this session. He has been part of the Indian corporate retail explosion since the mid-90s. As part of the senior management team of various startup operations, RPG Retail, Metro Cash and Carry, Future Group, Reliance Retail, all of these are the ones that he has been associated with. He has been instrumental in opening stores across varied product categories and varied formats. Prior to retail, he's had a brief stint in FMCG, advertising. Now he's consulting in training space pertaining to retail, customer orientation and all of that. He has also written a couple of books. Out of Syllabus is one of the books, and which has been well received in the marketplace, I would say. And he regularly writes in Business Line and Economic Times. Thank you, Rajesh. Finally, I call on Arun Athiyappan. He is the CEO and co-founder of TicketGoose.com. He founded TicketGoose along with his friend Karthi Ishwaramurthy and Vasu Ramasamy. They are the second largest bus ticket aggregation portal in India today. He and his co-founders have been awarded the Best Upcoming Entrepreneur Award by TiE Chennai for the year 2014. And prior to founding TicketGoose, he was employed with Computer Sciences Corporation as a general manager, managing multiple large accounts. He has been in the US for a 3-year stint with Covances, during which he had designed, architected and led multiple projects in the entertainment, insurance and healthcare domains. There you go, healthcare again, but he's in ticketing. Prior to Covances, he also had a stint with HCL, and he's been an entrepreneur once before, 1993 to 98, during which he founded and led a small software development company, Abacus Systems, from his Namakkal, and has also been one of the directors of TEAM, a non-profit organization working for improvement of basic infrastructure facilities in poor schools. So we have a great panel here, and we have a great audience, and I'm reminded of a story where a professor was taking classes for people like this, and he said, okay, I want you guys to tell me who's better, me or your mom? And people were like, oh my god, what a tough question this is. And he said, no, just tell, it's okay, tell the truth. One lady from behind said, Professor, you are definitely better than my mother. He said, no, you don't have to so put it by me, just tell me the truth. And he said, no, you're definitely better than my mother, because my mother can put only one child to sleep at a time. He can put an entire. We are not going to put you to sleep here. You guys are vibrant here. You've had 3 panels that have gone through, and this is another panel that again is very relevant to your to what you are trying to get out of this whole day. So let me start off by saying that everyone has seen change, and change has been very relevant right from for the past 2 decades, I would say. 2 decades, we've seen it. Even in your lifetime, you've seen things change so much that what you saw, say, 10 years ago is not there again any longer, right? And the customer himself has changed. You have changed. We have changed. The retail chains have changed. Everything has changed, and it is changing right in front of our eyes. So how do you grapple with that? How do you grapple with the fact that it's a moving target? I mean, someone is interested in you one day, and the next day is not interested in your product. How do you capture them? And so there is a possibility of actually somehow engaging the customer. You have to build in feedback loops. The feedback loops have to come in form of somehow engaging him, having him talk to you. And there are a lot of tools, a lot of techniques. Again, they're all evolving. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this panel talk about their experiences for a few minutes personally. That will set the context for you to see how they have applied the customer engagement to increase the sales. And then watch for the techniques that they've used. And then reserve that for questions later on that are applicable to you. Is that fair enough? All right. So let's start off with Chitra. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Manik. I think that introduction sometimes wakes you up and says, oh yeah, you have something behind you. But more important, in this particular panel, I think when I was thinking about it, I thought I'm quite an eligible panelist for a simple reason that we are about a 12-year-old organization now, Easy Vidya, and I think we've continued in schools, and that's the domain we are in. 92 to 94% of retention of clients. And in my own company, in the boardroom and all that, when we discuss, I think we've been using different terminologies in terms of starting with customer satisfaction, customer delight, and today I think we're all talking about customer engagement. So I was actually thinking that when you look at this topic for the day, for this panel, I thought it should actually be not driving sales but deriving sales. There's a lot of difference, and when I looked at it, actually it's the E that makes a difference, driving to deriving. And I think that E is actually about engagement. And watch it, it's not talking about customer marriage. It's talking about customer engagement. You know the difference. In marriage, something happens that you're not very happy with each other. But the engagement period, you're very happy. So I think it's about, that's why the coinage of the term, I'm a big fan of words. And I think the customer engagement is prolonging this lovely phase of engagement where you don't go overboard, you're not intrusive, you're not, you're hands-on, you have to show that you care, but you're very careful with the customer. So I think customer engagement is all about that. And I think Manik brought a very good point that we are in the period of most dynamic change, if we can say that. And that's, I think, thanks to technology, thanks to internet. The challenges are also multifold. The customer expectations today are beyond our understanding. And I was just sharing with the panel a day ago that we have a very unique scenario where we deal with, in a particular school, we work with about 700 schools today, and with each school we deal with 4 customers. We have the decision maker of the school, the owner of the school, who actually strikes the deal with us. He is the decision maker, he is the customer. Then you have the parents who are actually paying for it, because it's not the school actually collects it from the parents. So parent is a significant customer. But actually my customer, the product caters to the student. So constantly we are looking at how to cater to the needs of the students. So there comes the third customer. And then I think within the 4 rooms, the most troublesome customer we have is the teacher. Because the teacher is the one who's using our product. So we have to keep her happy. We have to engage with her. So it's a very unique scenario where we are actually dealing with 4 customers with varied profile, varied age group. So what we have realized, one mantra that we have realized is, when you engage with the customer, apart from the product engagement, when I'm talking about customer engagement, I think we have to see that it's not too product or service centric. That you're not going to constantly be talking about your product. That's going to put off. That's going to put off the customer, saying that, I think I know enough. I think, okay, you're going to have a conference. I know what you're going to talk about. You're going to sell your product. We recently had a webinar, and I was surprised because I think in all industries put together, the most, and it's ironical, the least savvy of the internet world is the teaching and the school leader community. In every other profession, when you enter office, you open your laptop, you open up your mobile. In teaching or in school, once you enter the school, put off the mobile, put off the laptop. So you're actually, we are grappling with this technology that can be the most cost-effective, continuous engagement tool is not the tool that we can actually use. But I'm pretty surprised now, 4:30 in the evening, when everybody in the school wants to get out and go home, we had a webinar, and with a week's announcement, we had over 250 school principals registering for it. And I would say the topic was what everyone was grappling about, school assessment. So I knew to get the engagement, I shouldn't be saying I'm going to have a webinar on chrysalis. Actually, between you and me, the webinar was on chrysalis because I wouldn't spend 1 hour with 250 principals not actually deriving a sale from them, right? But the topic, the whole 1 hour was addressing their needs, their predominant needs. So I think customer engagement to me is all about transforming, the way they look at the ecosystem in which you are, the industry in which you are. And last remark there would be that we also need to sometimes, periodically, disengage with the customer. So while customer engagement is important, if a company in its evolution, in the phase that we are in, and every time your phase is different, right? We are all evolving companies. It helps to disengage with the customer, go to a cross industry, go elsewhere, and talk about, today I think you all will be aware of crowdsourcing, right? Ideas and pools and everything from the crowd. So it really helps to disengage with the customer and go out there and get something that can actually help you to engage back with the customer, but having risen your benchmark. So with that, I'd like to.
Thank you, Chitra. That was really a good elucidation of what you've done. In fact, I was quite taken up by your concept of crowdsourcing. In fact, how many of you have heard Ramanan declare that tomorrow is going to rain, Idiran, Kudiya, Mare and all that, right? We've all heard of him forecasting. But actually, if we went and crowdsourced that information from about 10,000 mothers, they would actually be able to tell you tomorrow is not going to rain. Because they are going and dropping their kids off at the bus stand every day. So, that's a wonderful tool and it's relevant. In fact, in the United States, I've seen journalists go and ask people on the road, do you think there's going to be a storm tomorrow? I used to think, why are they asking this? But anyway, so the relevance of that, I would ask Arun to share your experiences. Thank you.
Said that it's not going to rain tomorrow because Ramanan said it's going to rain. So our company, ticketbooks.com, today we have a 7-year-old company. We are kind of now the second biggest ticketing portal in India, plus ticketing portal. So what does customer engagement mean to ticketbooks.com, and customer retention, how does that translate into customer retention? That's something that I would like to spend a couple of minutes. See, earlier days, when we started, we thought we were a bus ticketing portal where we are selling tickets and people are coming to us to buy tickets. So the company has evolved from that stage where we said, okay, we will sell tickets, we will buy tickets, and that's it. Engagement stops there, right? Because the service itself is not provided. The service is provided by the bus operator. So, but we have evolved from that stage to today where we consider ourselves as a travel experience guide. So how do we evolve over that? So we continuously keep engaging with our customers on the feedbacks which they provide and how they could tell us that, okay, on this bus the AC was not good. Right? That could be a feedback that could go into our website that could aid other customers to come and to make an informed choice. Right? So from there on, right from how our customer support experience today, and from customer support to customer relationship to customer engagement, how we have evolved. So when we kind of started, people were very happy that we have a website where you can go and book bus tickets. But that was for a couple of years. And after a couple of years, we have too many competitors, a lot of people there already in the space. There's a market leader who is much bigger than us today. And just selling tickets online is not a differentiator anymore. So we have to kind of engage the customers even before that, before selling. So how do you do that? How are you going to be present in the first point of the purchase cycle or the buy cycle of the customer? Like every customer goes through multiple different phases in buying. First, he has to be aware of the brand. He should have a need for the brand. He should dream about buying your product. And after the dream phase comes when he actually plans to buy. And then comes the actual buying cycle where he does the purchase, and beyond that he experiences the product that you have sold to him, and after experiencing the product he goes and propagates about your product. It could be good or bad based on the experience. Right? So how do you keep constantly engaging with the customer in each and every one of these phases of the buy cycle? For example, in the awareness phase. So what do we do with the awareness phase? We have been sorely lacking engagement with the customer in the awareness phase for almost 5-6 years of our existence. So the last thing that we would think about is marketing. All of us techies, we had least respect for marketing. We thought we put a great product out there, people would come and buy. But that has not been the case. If that had been the case, we would have been number one. We would have not been number two. So how do we engage customers to first become aware of our? So this year we took a conscious decision that we will do multimedia mass media campaigns and also online media campaigns. So we are today, I think most of us would have seen our TV ads. So even the TV ad, we did not talk much about our product. Because I can come there and install all the values of my product and tell you why my product is better than the competitor's product. You will definitely not have an interest in watching it. So the point is, that phase is the awareness phase. We want you to know about ticketbooks.com. We want you to say, okay, tomorrow if I want to book a bus ticket, as a top of the mind recollection, we want you to remember ticketbooks.com. So we broke away from the traditional TV ads that you would normally see. So our core aim was to make an ad that would look like a movie. People will have to remember it for something. It's not just bus ticketing alone, but for the plot in the ad itself. So we also put this ad in multiple cinema theaters, and in one of the theaters that I was to, people thought that the movie has been when they put down the ad. So that has given us immense recollection. Like when I go to a college to other people's story, probably 10 people would say earlier that I knew ticketbooks.com. But after we have put this ad on TV, almost only 10 people say that I don't know it. So on the awareness phase, yes, we have kind of engaged with the customer. It's not, if I had run a run-of-the-mill ad campaign, I'm sure we would not have got this kind of awareness. So from the awareness phase to the next phase, where we go to the dream phase, how are you present? So we are present heavily by doing search engine marketing, SEO, search engine optimization, so that whenever you go see somewhere, we are always there. And then you make an actual purchase. Again, SEM, SEO aids you to make the actual purchase. You're on the website trying to decide which ticket to book. You spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you go to the payment gateway, you're not coming back to our site. You engage immediately, our customer support calls you and asks you, sir, what's the You have booked the ticket, you are about to travel. We send in SMSs to say, okay, have a happy journey. You can, if the bus is GPS enabled, we tell them you can track your bus. So once your journey is over, you have experienced the product, we go back and get the feedback and say update the feedback on the website so that it will aid other customers. So this is how we make sure that we are engaging the customers in all parts of this life cycle. And this has now been built into the organization as a culture that it's not one-off activities for us. So with that, probably we'll discuss more on the panel.
Thanks, Arun. I think you've been able to show us that it's no more a one-way communication. From what used to be a one-way communication, it's a two-way. You're going to keep engaging the customer. Even if you just walked away from your website, you want to call them and say, hey, what happened? Did you lose the connection or whatever it is? So I think that's very relevant, and I'm going to drive straight to the retail space with Rajesh. I think you're going to be able to address that aspect of it. Thank you.
Thanks. I completely echo what Mr. Chitra was talking about. This customer delight is one of my most disliked phrases. Every strategy, and that's my second most disliked phrase. You know, any corporate talk, wherever you go, this occupies prime importance. Customer delight. Now, I invariably ask them a very fundamental question. Okay, great. Delight, all of us know. We had a delightful dessert. We had a delightful lunch. Now, who is the customer? And that is something that most businesses tend to actually miss. Most businesses tend to assume who their customer is. I'll give you a very simple example. Way back when we were opening eZone, we had an incident where an elderly person came in and wanted to buy a laptop. So the sales staff was very excited and ended up selling this guy on top end Apple Mac, some 1.7 lakhs or something like that. Next day this guy is back and he is fuming and furious, and he says, you have conned me, you have cheated me. The staff has no clue what's happening, and obviously when such a large sum is involved, it got picked up. So we all got involved. That's how I came to know about this issue. So we went down and we figured out that this laptop was actually something that was kind of mandated by the college to the students, saying that pick up a laptop for your project work, etc., etc. So the son or daughter has come home and said, Appa, I need a laptop. Like parents, what do? You walk into the shop, you want the best for your kid. So he has said, I want the best laptop. And this guy has seen rupee signs. The higher I sell, the better I'll get as an incentive. He has just not taken the trouble to figure out who is the customer. Obviously, the person who has paid the money is not the customer. And like she was saying again, and I'm sure you would have experiences where when people buy the ticket, most often than not, maybe they are not the customer. Somebody else is the customer. So the fundamental thing that I would like to leave behind with you is all this customer delight and engagement, happiness, satisfaction, whatever you want to call it, is nice. But do you really know who your customer is? Have you taken the trouble to understand who is your customer, your actual customer? Second point which I would like to leave behind with you is this whole thing about engagement and the delight part, the second part of this phrase. The fact remains that as more and more we evolve, whether it's in terms of technology, lifestyle, etc., more and more we remain the same. Which means basics do not change. And one of the fundamental basic requirements for any human being is for life to be easy and simple. You might have the most cutting edge product. And like Arun was mentioning, initially they thought we had this brilliant product. Why? Because from a technology, from an interface, from a UI point of view, it was outstanding. But what does it do to your customer? And before you jump into this whole thing of happiness, satisfaction, delight and all that, remember that a customer is coming and taking the effort, spending the money and is ready to look at you to purchase your service or product, not because they are in love with your product or service, but because they want that to simplify their life. So the fundamental thing that you need to address is, how will my product or service simplify this person's life? Know who is this person, and that's not an easy task, trust me. Second, how is whatever I am trying to put on the table going to simplify this person's life? If you crack these two questions, trust me, your business is made.
Thank you, Rajesh. I'll take a link out of your what you just mentioned. Know your customer, and I'm actually there's one portion of who I am that Arun missed. I'm the president of a life sciences company here, genomics company, and when I came in, that was one of the startling things that we needed to find out who's our customer. We were having genetic assessment products, but our final customer is the patient, but the carrier of our product is the doctor. So what I had to work within myself was stop interrupting the doctor with his own interest. He's interested in doing a whole bunch of things. He does not have mind share for my product. So what I had to do was I had to become his interest, basically. I had to become what he thinks he might be interested in. And once I started getting there, I was easily able to position my company, the company, not the product. Like Chitra said, it's not the product or the service. It's about who is going to come in to give him that variable that he needs now that will decide his patient's life or death situation. So I think the four of us, we've expressed some various unique aspects of customer engagement. And the customer delight, I mean, that comes much later, and much before that, you need to figure out how you're addressing the product that you're spending lakhs of rupees in making, right? So I'd like to assess how many people have questions here today. One, any more? Okay, good. So can we start off with some questions, and then we'll intersperse that with some more questions of ourselves. State your name and...
Yes, my name is Srinath Ranga, and I am the co-founder of Idea Solutions. We provide business optimization tools for small and medium businesses. So my question has always been grappling with this. I talked to many
what will be the core focus in this thing? The core focus is trying to make the customer better, or to actually build technology which will then provide a business. Mr. Pushkar has been asking people, you're providing e-learning solutions for schools, colleges. Should you focus on trying to just provide that service which are good at the content and all that, or should you focus on trying to build the technology on which these content sits?
There's a simple answer to say focus only on this, because in the scenario that we are in, there is a product. The product has actually come because of a need in the ecosystem. I won't even say it's a need in the customer. Again, the question of who the customer is, because there's a huge, I would say, unawareness among the schools on what do we have to do for the future of education. So if you look at Easy Vidya, we actually tapped on what should be the solution that can enhance this ecosystem called schooling, right? So that is one question. So how does my product cater to that is the second question. So how do I make it, like for instance, technology there is an enabler. I know my goals, I know my objective of what am I going to deliver, and I know who my users are, and here I'm not even saying customers, various users, and I'm going to focus on the right technology or whatever the product entails, which is an enabler, right? I have to make it interesting. Those are important. So I think it cannot be a singular focus. It has to be, first get your basics right on what you are in this business for. I think that's the fundamental question. Once the basics are right, your customer is very important, and how you deliver it is again important in terms of enabling your objective creation. I don't know if I answered your question, but I think the focus has to be on these aspects.
And I just would like to add perspective here. See, you can approach it in either of the ends of the spectrum. Supposing you're starting off from the customer perspective. You know your customer, you understand the customer, you know the kind of customer you want to target. You know whether the customer has an obvious need or a latent need. Latent need is a terminology for a need which is existing but which has not been expressed by the customer yet. For example, right now after a nice lunch and all of us droning on, if somebody were to go around selling, say, Mentos or Suparis, right, I'm sure there will be a lot of takers. That's a latent need, right? So you understand your customer, you understand whether that's a need, whether latent or obvious, and then you come up with a solution for that. Now the solution could be a product, it could be service, it could be technology, it need not be technology. Okay, so that's one route. The other route is you say, okay, I have this brilliant technology, I have this brilliant product, I have this great service. In which case, you need to see whether this great technology, great service, great product is going to translate into making the customer's life better, easier, more comfortable, etc. etc. When that happens, truly you have a great technology or whatever. If the customer's life is not simplified by this great technology, that great technology is not great technology. I will give you a simple example. In India we don't see too much of technological innovations in the retail space. Abroad, a lot of the concepts like self-checkout, where you scan and you pay automatically using your credit card, etc. is there. You must have seen that in the airports today they are trying out this mobile check-in, where you have this handheld terminal. Again, that's an innovation that is applicable in retail, where you can do a mobile checkout. A couple of hypermarkets have actually tried that mobile checkout, and it has ended creating a higher level of customer dissatisfaction. Not because it is not a great technology, but because it creates the wrong expectation. So, I'm standing in this line, and this gentleman comes here with this nice looking device. Says, "Sir, can I help you? I will do a mobile checkout and help you get out of the store faster." He says, "Great." And then this guy is scanning, and then suddenly the Wi-Fi signal goes away, and then he says his credit card cannot be swiped on this, so he goes somewhere else to swipe it, and then comes back. By the time the guy who was three numbers behind, this guy has already paid and he has left, and I'm waiting here because of this mobile boss. So how does technology help? Right? So I again would like to go back to, is your technology, product, service actually making a material difference to your customer? If yes, focus on that. If no, throw it out of the window and focus on something which is going to make a material difference to your customer.
For me, it's a simple question of what's the problem that you are trying to solve. And technology and all other things are solutions, enablers to the solution. If you really know what the problem that you are trying to solve, and then go out and find the best way to solve it. There's no other question.
Before I take the next question, there's one aspect of the new engagement model. Earlier we used to have call centers, and that was separate on its own, and then you had a disconnect between the main office and the call center. Is there an organizational something that's happening, especially from your point of view?
Yeah, early on, the call centers, as you said, were incentivized to say, okay, how many calls can I do? Can I attend to 20 different customers? They're not bothered about the solution that they give to the customers. So this guy does something, pushes on the ball to someone else's store, and say, okay, sir, this is a technical problem, probably I'll ask someone else to talk to you. And that guy comes on and says, oh, if they say it's a technical problem, it's not a technical problem, so I think it's a problem of the bank. Right? So the customer gets frustrated in this whole thing. So what, as Ticket Tools, we are trying to do is build in a culture where people don't just shove on the problem to someone else. Okay, we need to really be aware that the customer is calling you because he has got a problem. And we need to have one point of contact who will solve the problem. I cannot say, okay, sir, I am standing in Perangalatur. It's 2 hours since the scheduled time for the bus. The bus has not come. The customer calls me. And I cannot tell, sir, I don't know that. You can probably call the operator. I will have to call the operator and see where the bus is. And then get back to the customer saying that this is where the bus is. It might take you another half an hour. There's a small coffee shop nearby. You can go and visit there. So these are the kind of value adds that we can give. So today we are trying to put GPS on a lot of buses to see whether we can tell the customer where the bus is without even asking me out. So your question about technology is today we are trying to build that to solve a customer problem. It's not that GPS was not available before, but there's a particular need through which we are enabling the technology to solve the customer problem. And the whole organization is today sensitized in such a way that when the customer calls, whether it is me or it is the customer support staff who is there, they are sensitized to take the problem, look at the problem from the customer's viewpoint and not whether I can solve the problem or not. So unless otherwise this culture is being spread across the organization where everyone thinks, okay, when a customer comes first, he has a problem, I will have to solve it, or he is looking for something, I will have to give him the right advice. I think that is where we can really differentiate and retain our customers. Going by giving discounts, lower prices and all that will work only for a certain time.
Anand, you have a question? Anand? What is the name regarding this? And another question, what are the problems you face with it's like tough job.
Name behind tickets, I'll keep it short, because probably not very relevant to the topic. We wanted to identify with a flock of animals or birds which are migrant in nature because the people who use our services are migratory in nature. I use bus service because I am from Namakkal and settled down in Chennai. So goose is a great migratory bird, travels thousands of miles. You would have seen the latest bar-headed goose that landed up from Ukraine or somewhere in Italy. There was an article about that in Hindu. Okay, so we wanted to associate it with that. Why we didn't choose bus is because we thought we will do anything that is on tickets, but we are not doing that. We wanted to keep it very clear. Okay. The second part of it is a little relevant because it's not just the people who buy tickets are my customers. The operators for whom I sell are also my customers because they provide me with my people. Though in traditional parlance they would be suppliers, they are not suppliers anymore because we have got too many competitors and we have to fight for the operator too. So we had quite a bit of challenges in convincing the operator to come on to our thing. So one small insight that I had is when we started the company, we wanted to bring in the whole inventory of the bus into our site, which was not possible because there was no IT backbone prevalent at that time. So we built the backbone called Vahana and we started providing it free of cost to the operators. For almost 1 year, we are trying to push this product. We got four operators. It was an excellent product. They could manage all their ticketing operations using it. We got 4 operators who signed up for this product, Vahana. And I was really astonished. Why is that someone I'm giving it for free, no one is taking it? Then we went ahead and put a price on it. We said, okay, we'll charge you 1,000 rupees per schedule. And then in the next 1 year, we got 40 operators on the platform. So that is how things are. Like, see, it is our perception of the customer. We are thinking that the customer is needing a product at free of cost, which is not true. In the minds of the customer, it is that if this guy is giving something free of cost, how trustworthy is it? If something goes wrong tomorrow, can I go and question him? I cannot because he has just given it free of cost. I don't know, in the buses you will see, when they give the ticket, it will say video free. Which means, if he does not play the video, you cannot question him. Correct? So that is the parallax. So once we started charging, we are in serious business. They knew that they can come back to us for problems. So how do you perceive your customer? Your customer is a bus operator who is running hundreds of buses is not someone who is interested in something that is given free to them. Right? The same case with a lot of customers who book tickets today. We are one of the sites which don't offer many discounts. We offer a few discounts to attract the customers, but we are very conscious on not getting bracketed as a discount site. Right? So because there are customers who are looking out for discounts, but those are not my customers. I don't want to get into the segment because I will not be able to add value later on. The cost of retaining one such customer is always looking for a discount is pretty high. Right? So of all the people who would be able to buy a product, you'll also have to segment and see which customer you want to address. You don't need to sell to everyone who has got a need for your product. You will have to also segment and say this is the segment of customers whom I want to address to, which is profitable to me. There might be yet another site which will be very profitable running discount. For him the segment is a discount customer. So you will also have to be aware when you go out to the market to see which customer you want to address. You don't need to cater to everyone who needs your service.
That was wonderful point. You segment the market, yes, please.
No, I don't want to add, I just want to reinforce something Mr. Arun said. I hope you have internalized when you take the next working about discount versus non-discounted offer. Right? Most businesses who I interact with and all the retailers that I've been associated with, the low-hanging fruit or the easy route is, chalo, run a sale, run an offer, discount it, give a freebie. Sure, if that's your business model, great, because then your cost structure has to support it. And like I said, if your cost structure is not supporting it, don't succumb to the temptation. Your business will not survive.
I think discount is not necessarily a tool that you have to use, and if that tool is going to build up your cost structure in the other side, then you should just give up on that. And Chitra, we had seen that these markets are in transition. All markets are in transition, any which way you see it. And in your industry itself, how is it affecting what you do with respect to that eluding customer?
Yeah, I think education is a huge change that's coming in terms of expectations. And I think technology is adding more complexity to it because you have this generation of learners whom the parent proudly comes during LKG admission and says, you know, he's so comfortable with an iPad. And here we are talking about motor skills, writing, holding the pencil. So the child and the parent and the school people, stakeholders, they're all pretty disillusioned, they're very confused, and we are existing in this confusion as the center point with our own understanding of education in long-term terms. So having said this, I think this is the period when such customer engagement has to be the most effective, because we have to be constantly educating the parents. In my domain, we have to constantly tell them it doesn't matter that I know every other child at 2.5 is seen as a Steve Jobs by their parents, you know, and only when you go to school, you know, there are 40 other Steve Jobs in the same classroom. And so what we are trying to tell them is writing is important. And it is very important that they first read, and there is a method to do this. You have to wait for things to come. You can't get a child in 3 months, can you? You need to wait for 9 months, so you need to wait for milestones to happen. So there's a constant, for me, actually in our domain, it's customer education. I won't even call it customer engagement, but it should not seem to the customer that we are teaching them something. So the engagement has to be very empowering. So I think that's the huge transition. I don't think when we were in school, when I was in school, my parents wouldn't even know what I was doing, which class I was in. My dad used to always ask me, you know, which class, if somebody comes. But today, there's a huge demand, and people like Mani who come from abroad. We have in every school, especially in Bangalore, you see parent orientation, they are talking fast, and you know, back in Silicon Valley, this is how my children went to school, and so what have you to offer? And in the same school, you would have somebody from Hubli moving to Bangalore and talking, unable to even talk English. It's very heterogeneous now, the school ecosystem. everybody wants to be in the best school. So it's not like, school has a homogeneous profile. So the customer engagement also has to be very innovative. I have to make, I'm just borrowing Namakkal because Arun mentioned, because we work in schools in Namakkal where you are actually talking to this very rich entrepreneurs, but who come and tell you, I don't know about education, I'm not going to school, so you have to take care of my child, that's one aspect. And then you come to a metro, you have parents who say, we know everything about education and you have to really, what you're doing is not right. So heterogeneity, but you can't obviously, so there's a personalized engagement is becoming very, very important. So our mantra is, I talked about LSRW, right? In education we have learning, listening, speaking, reading, writing. That's the root to a good solid foundation. For any language, you first say make the child listen first, then start making him speak, then reading, then writing. But the parents always want first day in school, writing. I'm borrowing this LSRW in customer engagement, especially, and that is universal. Listen to your customer, then speak, and then reinforce through your engagement, leading to win-win. So I think that LSRW is something we have to really look at as innovation. So listening, speaking, reinforcing through very effective engagement, and that can lead to win-win for both the customer and the company.
We have another question.
Like Rajesh said, in our hurry to make things simple for customers, to be able to come and book online, to be able to do all that. The line is kind of blurring where our responsibility ends and where the service provider's responsibility takes off. The bus is an hour late, not our responsibility. It's clearly printed on the ticket that we don't, you cannot hold us to ransom for the bus being late. But the first thing that happens is my customer service center gets a call. And they say, the bus is late. If you are not able to tell when the bus is going to come correctly on your website, why are you even selling their tickets?
That's why my question was on the positive spin actually.
Right? That is something that happens quite frequently. And we cannot also shrug off and say, okay, this is not a service that I am providing, my service is only to give you a ticket. So how do we address? That's the biggest pain point that we have today in the industry. None of the buses come on time. Right? So it can be half an hour late, it can be 2 hours late. And the day you are 5 minutes late, the bus would have come on time and another hour late. Right? So that happens. So we are trying from our end, how do we solve this problem? Instead of thinking that it is not our problem, so is there a way that we can solve this problem? So we are now working with multiple operators, and we hope most of the bigger operators will be able to enable them with GPS, provide them a solution where people can track their buses. And when you book a ticket, we can say, okay, where do you want your alert to come? You are going to board at Perumalur. So if you want an alert to come at Kindi, when the bus crosses Kindi, I'll give you an alert. After that, if you start from your home, it is enough. You don't need to go there and stand for 2 hours. So that is how we are trying to solve these kind of problems. But how does customer satisfaction comes out of all these things? It is not because of how you the solution that you provide, but as Vidya said, how you listen to the customer. You don't yell back at the customer and tell him, hey, sorry, this is not my problem. You talk to the bus operator, don't call me again, ever after. That is not the way you deal with it. We empathize with it. Sir, I understand. I think there is a traffic problem in Kindi. That's what I have been hearing from others. So all buses have been delayed for half an hour or 40 minutes. We will anyway talk back to the operator and get back to you. So if you are able to empathize with your customer, understand this problem, and also in the same time convey that it is not really causative of the service you provided, but by someone else, but you will still take action on that. That is when the customer gets satisfied and he comes back to you. Otherwise, if you just detach yourself from the customer's problem, saying that this is not my problem, this is someone else's problem, and that's what I was exactly mentioning before. We had to go through a huge orientation for all our customer support executives, anyone in the organization for that matter, even the guys who are on technology. So if someone books a ticket and he knows someone with the technology side, he'll probably call him and say, hey, my bus is 1 hour late. Even those days, everyone has to know understand and feel the pain of the customer and try to provide a solution instead of saying this is not my problem. That's where you'll probably get your result.
We have time for one more question.
I just want to share an interesting anecdote relating to this technology comment. In the early days of retail, we were all trying to develop modules because the ready-made software that was available did not necessarily cater to a lot of Indian peculiarities. Like for example, nowhere in the world do you have MRP. Only in India we have MRP. Though the building systems which you buy from abroad doesn't know what is this MRP. So we had an IT team who would do all this. So we go and tell them that, hey, you know what, this is taking long and it's increasing the billing time and therefore. So this, our IT head would say, no, the software, that's how it will work. So finally our head of the organization one day said, why don't you go and work for 1 week in the store? And this guy was actually made to go and work for 1 week in the store. And I guess, like Arun was saying, his technological team must have been given the same kind of orientation.
Okay. One more question.
Hi, my name is Sunil. I work for myincommand.com. One good example I know of anyone can be a customer. When one walking machine manufacturer they did research, they found that there are a lot of shopkeepers in Punjab they use washing machines to make lassi. Many of them make lassi because they make number of lassi, so that was easier for them. That is one thing. Day-to-day life we interact with a lot of customers, and obviously we take care of them. We deliver what we promise. But there are certain times when customer is at his fault and he south on us. For example, we have told them very clearly, you have to follow this arrow line. Like when you go to trekking, we do not accompany them because that is purely safe place. So that whole island you can walk in 45 minutes. And he came back and counted us saying that I walked for 2.5 hours, I did not get the beach. And he started shouting at us. That is one example. The other is like, as you must be knowing all of you that in hotels the breakfast is complimentary. And in fact, many of places you have to go as early as 3 in the morning. You have to leave the hotel or 5 in the morning, and as per the hotel policy, by 7 o'clock is the complimentary breakfast given. And we have very clearly mentioned all these terms and conditions. But sometimes they come back to us and demand us, return the money, refund me for this. So my question is, how do we, restrict ourselves? Okay, this is fine. We always okay, no sir, it's not our problem. It's hotel. We do all these things, but they keep repeating, no, you have to refund us, otherwise I will do this and not pay you this thing. So up to what extent we should go? And obviously, certain point of time we have to come back, go back to them and say, sir, no. We cannot go beyond this, we cannot refund you because you pay us. How to do kind of thing.
So then the question is, where do we start?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Rajesh, you want to take that?
Let me answer your question with an example. We once had a customer when we were opening the Reliance's hypermarket in Ahmedabad. At that point of time, it was India's largest hypermarket. This elderly person came in and wanted to buy a sandal for his grandson and surprised the grandson. So when my staff was asking him what is the size, he had no clue. So he would say, okay, I'll say in Hindi and then itna bada hoga, which means roughly my grandson will be so high, so big, so tall or whatever. So with a lot of guesswork, this guy got a sandal, showed it to him, he was like, roughly it is okay, and he took it. Next day he landed up with like huge ruckus because the sandal was obviously not the right size. Again he went to the same cycle, which is itna bada hoga. Then at least now that the surprise is broken, he should have bought that slipper or something, right? So the point that you raised, how far does my staff bend over, right? At that point of time, I have a slightly unrelated point but a very crucial one. Your staff is also your customer. So if you are expecting your staff to bend over and take a lot of abuse from customers which is not substantiated, then you're failing one of your core customers. And like he was pointing out, Yes, customers will call up and say, where is the bus? You can be polite, you can help, you can give inputs. But if the guy says, no, I want the bus here in the next 5 minutes, what do you do?
That has kind of happened quite often. No, but one thing is you don't need to really, you have to make sure that your staff's self-esteem does not get affected or hurt. We always instruct our staff saying that yes, you can be polite, but there's no need to be rude. You can be polite, but please convey what you need to convey. This is not our problem. We are trying to help. Our staff, like a parrot, will keep repeating it again and again and again till the day goes. So he can keep on talking for half an hour. Okay, sir, it's not our problem. I'm just trying. Sir, it is not our problem. I'm just trying. That's what our staff say. That's what we have asked our staff to say too.
Thank you, Arun. I think it's been a wonderful panel. Thank you very much. I think there are completely lots of takeaways that we can take from this panel. I think from you about the organizational culture, about the misuse of customer delight, and LSR development. Thank you very much.